Steps in and stops this bout with an official time of 2 minutes, 42 seconds of the 12th and final round. Declaring the winner by way of technical knockout, still the undefeated WBO welterweight champion of the world, living Omaha, Nebraska, Terrence Crawford.
What's up, boxing fans? This is TBE Boxing, back at you again. Errol Spence Jr. says, and I quote, "I would rather take the easier route against Shawn Porter than fight Terence Crawford." Let's chop it up and see what this is all about.
Got the money for minutes, pretty bitch, gotta show me titties. This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? That life before riches, huh? That life before riches, huh? Pretty bitch, show me titties, huh? And I got the glazzy run up on me, I'ma make you get it. I'ma make you get it.
Hey, end of 2019.
Hey,
did you not say that?
All that?
Did you not say that? That's what your promoter said.
This is what I'm saying.
I read it all.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I read it all too. Terrence Crawford, wait till he get a belt.
Yeah.
He ain't did nothing in the welterweight today.
You
when
have
he get
did
a belt,
nothing.
when he
You
get a
have
belt,
did nothing.
you want to
You
go
have
over
did
there. Keith Thurman want to go over there, and now y'all want to say, "Oh, I ain't fought nobody," but I got a belt now, so
Okay.
why?
Okay. Shawn Porter got a belt too.
So now
Shawn Porter got a belt too. Shawn Porter. So why am I go to easy road and knock Shawn Porter out? So why am I go to easy road and knock Shawn Porter out? So why am I go to easy road and knock Shawn Porter out? Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I?
Look at this dude.
Why wouldn't I?
You a smart.
Is the Spence you fought last September at Staples, would that guy beat Crawford, or from what you know?
I've already said that in the match. I don't think Errol Spence could beat Terrence Crawford. I think that Terrence wins that fight. I think he's got more in his arsenal.
Okay, boxing fans, you heard it, live and direct, right from Spence's own mouth. Spence said in that clip that we just saw that he would rather take the easier route and fight Shawn Porter than fight Terence Crawford. Okay, I mean, it can't get any more clear than that. I mean, that's as clear as day. Okay, basically, Errol Spence is ducking Terence Crawford, and he's saying it from his own mouth. So, you know, this is, you know, what's really going on. Now, people could say, you know, whatever they want to say, but when you're hearing it from the principal, the person, own mouth, what are you going to say? I mean, clear as day. You know what I mean? And for those of you, you know, who, you know, are not fluent in what they call duckinese, okay, that is ducking, let's listen to the clip again and hear what Errol Spence is saying about fighting Terence Crawford out of his own mouth, okay? And we already know, you know, that we saw this thing came, you know, to light. We saw it came into being that Errol Spence, he fought Kell Brook, stopped him, you know, because of the injury. He fought Shawn Porter, and then instead of fighting Terence Crawford next after Shawn Porter, just like he said in the video clip, he went around Terence Crawford. I mean, he went around Terence Crawford, and now he's fighting Danny Garcia. Okay, now, you know, like I said, for those people who are not really, you know, conversant in Duckinese, we're gonna play the clip one more time and just hear what Errol Spence have to say again, so that we can be clear about what's really going on. Take a listen to this clip.
Hey, end of 2019.
Hey,
did you not say that?
All that?
Did you not say that? That's what your promoter said.
This is what I'm saying.
I read it all.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I read it all too. Terrence Crawford, wait till he get a belt.
Yeah.
He ain't did nothing in the welterweight today. When he get a belt, you want to go over there. Keith Thurman want to go over there, and now y'all want to say, "Oh, I ain't fought nobody," but I got a belt now, so why?
Okay. Shawn Porter got a belt too.
So now
Shawn Porter got a belt too. Shawn Porter. So why am I go to easy road and knock Shawn Porter out? So why am I go to easy road and knock Shawn Porter out? So why am I go to easy road and knock Sean Porter out? Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I?
Look at this dude.
Why wouldn't I?
So there you have it. Okay? There you have it. Plain as day. Errol Spence wants no smoke with Terrence Crawford. Now, you know, again, I just want to be clear. I'm not the one that's saying this, okay? I'm not the one that's saying that Errol Spence is ducking Terrence Crawford, okay? It's Errol Spence that's saying it out of his own mouth, okay? Now, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, we can say, oh, he's not fighting Terrence Crawford because of this or because of that, you know, or, you know, it's business, he's making business moves or whatever. Okay, that's all good. I mean, you know, boxing is a business at the end of the day, and I can understand that. But it's been more than a year since Terrence Crawford, you know, won the WBO championship, okay? And yeah, you can make business moves. You made a couple moves. You fought Sean Porter. You fought Book when you got the title from Book. You fought Sean Porter, okay? So you defended the title. But you say you want to fight the best. You say that you're the boogeyman at 147 pounds, you know, Errol Spence. You claim that you're the boogeyman. So if you're the boogeyman, how is it that you have a guy at a double, you know, a guy like Terrence Crawford over there at 147 with the WBO title, and you're fighting Danny Garcia who has no title? Okay, so he's a mandatory. Okay, but I mean, I understand that. So he's a mandatory. So all right. So if that's the case, and you really want to fight Terrence Crawford, then your next fight should be Terrence Crawford. After Danny Garcia, the next fight for Errol Spence should be Terrence Crawford, okay? But I don't see anything, you know, in the works saying that. I don't see Spence saying that his next fight after Danny Garcia is going to be Terrence Crawford. So, you know, as far as I'm concerned, you know, again, if Errol Spence's next fight is not Terrence Crawford, then he's ducking, okay? Plain and simple. I mean, he said he's ducking, okay? He said he doesn't want to fight, you know. He said he's not fighting Terrence Crawford. He said that he'd rather take the easier route and fight Sean Porter. And that's exactly what he did. He fought Sean Porter instead of fighting Terrence Crawford. And now he's fighting Danny Garcia instead of fighting Terrence Crawford. So are you trying to tell me then that Errol Spence is going to, after Danny Garcia, if he wins against Danny Garcia, he's going to have another fight before fighting Terrence Crawford? I mean, that's a joke. Okay? I mean, that's what you call ducking, you know, at its best, okay? And, you know, I don't know why, you know, people are going along with this. I mean, I just don't get it, okay? The fight that people want to see is Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr., okay? That's the fight we want to see. And if Errol Spence claimed that he's the boogeyman, I mean, how can you be the boogeyman at 147 when you didn't beat Terrence Crawford? You can't be the boogeyman, okay? In order for you to be the boogeyman at 147, Errol Spence, you have to fight Terrence Crawford and you have to win. Okay? That's the only way you can become the boogeyman of 147 pounds. Now, you might be the man at 147 pounds. Okay, I wouldn't disagree with that Errol Spence is the man at 147 pounds because he's unified. Okay, he got more than one belt, so he has to be the man. Okay? But being the boogeyman is a whole different ball game. He's not the boogeyman. Errol Spence is not the boogeyman at 147 pounds. Because when you're the boogeyman, okay, no one wants to fight you. Okay? But everybody is fighting Errol Spence nowadays. I mean, you know, people said Porter wouldn't fight him. Porter fought him. People said Danny Garcia wouldn't stand a chance. Danny Garcia is fighting him. Terrence Crawford has been calling him out since he was 140 pounds. So how can you be the boogeyman if you got like a 140 pounder calling you out? And then you tell this 140 pounder, okay, go get a belt and then come see me. So the 40 pounder, what does he do? Being the warrior that he is, he jumps up to 147, go and gets him a belt, come back to you and say, okay, I got my belt now. What's up? And then you're going to say, oh, well, you know, I got fight over here and, you know, why don't I just go ahead and fight, take the easy route and fight Sean Porter. I mean, that's ducking, okay? And we all know that's what it is, okay? So, you know, we can talk, you know, I mean, we saw, you know, that Spence stopped Book, but I mean, yeah, Book was, you know, basically not in the best shape, I don't think. I mean, he was damaged goods. Should have had more time to recuperate. Now, I'm not trying to take anything away from Errol Spence because, again, I'm going to repeat that, you know, I've said it before in other videos. If you go into the ring, you got to take responsibility to be prepared when you go in there. So, Book went into the ring against Errol Spence. He wasn't prepared, but that's on him. And, you know, Errol Spence took it fair and square, okay? I mean, he displayed much more skills than Book in that fight. He, you know, basically, you know, overpowered Book, overwhelmed him, showed some versatility, you know, and he won that fight based on skills, basically. I mean, even though, you know, Book might not have been, you know, 100%, I mean, that doesn't really mean anything because a Book at 90% is still good, okay? Is gold, okay? So, at the end of the day, Spence won the fight fair and square, but yet still we gotta, you know, accept the reality that Book wasn't really what he was supposed to be. But that being said, okay, I mean, an injury is an injury. So he got another injury in that fight against Spence, and he lost. So the next fight that Spence took was against Porter. Now, well, not Porter. I mean, Mikey Garcia. He fought Mikey Garcia. So in that Mikey Garcia fight, you know, everyone expected Spence to like basically just march into the ring, walk Mikey Garcia down and knock him out, which is what should have happened. If we want to get real about it, okay? That's what should have happened because, you know, everybody was saying Mikey Garcia was too small. He's moving up to 147 pounds from lightweight, blah, blah, blah. He can't handle a beast like Errol Spence, that this is murder. Why even think about it? It's a waste of time. What are people going to say when he beat, you know, he knocked out Mikey Garcia? Okay, so the fight happened and, you know, Mikey Garcia went the distance with Spence, okay? Now, we have to understand about that. I mean, it was the overwhelming consensus by most of the boxing fans, experts, and even the decafs, okay, that Mikey Garcia would be knocked out by Errol Spence. This is what everybody expected, okay, that he would be knocked out. But that didn't happen. Mikey Garcia went the distance against the Boogeyman, quote unquote, Errol Spence. So how do we explain that? Okay, well, you know, the narrative that came from the Spence camp was that you know, Errol Spence just wanted to showcase his abilities and, you know, his boxing credentials, and so instead of walking Mikey down and knocking him out, he just outboxed him to display his boxing skills. What the hell does that mean? I mean, oh, so what? You can display boxing skills and still knock someone out. Okay, I mean, the two are not mutually exclusive. Just because you're displaying boxing skills doesn't mean that a knockout is not in the picture. What are you talking about? Okay, so, you know, that's the narrative that they came up with. But I mean, the reality is that Errol Spence tried to knock out Mikey Garcia, and he just couldn't do it. I mean, kudos to his boxing. You know, he displayed a lot of boxing ability. Okay, and yeah, he displayed that. But I already knew he had boxing ability because he beat Book, and he displayed his boxing ability in that fight. So I already knew, you know, after that fight that, you know, he had boxing ability. There was no need for him to display his boxing ability against Mikey Garcia for me or for anybody else. Everybody knows he has boxing ability from the way he beat Book. Okay, so, you know, but again, that was the narrative that they ran with. Okay, but, you know, for me, I just saw something a little different. I saw that, yeah, he displayed great boxing ability against Mikey Garcia, and he should have, because he, you know, when it comes to the actual talent in terms of height, reach, you know, strength and all of that, he had Mikey, you know, he had the edge of Mikey Garcia, so he should have outboxed him. He's supposed to do that. Okay, but at the end of the day, he could knock Mikey out, and people can say what they want to. Okay, he tried to knock Mikey out. Okay, he tried it and he could not do it. Okay, so I mean, it is what it is. I mean, and if you notice, you see that when Spence knocks someone out, he usually, when he stops someone, he doesn't really knock people out per se, except maybe for Bundu and some other one or two other guys. But when he stops someone, they're usually on their feet when he stops them. Okay, the referee comes in, he stops the fight, whatever, calls it off, whatever. When Terrence Crawford stops someone, they're usually on their back. Okay, they're usually out, and that's the difference really between the power of Crawford and the power of Spence that I can see. Maybe I'm wrong, but you guys can debate that. But it is what it is. So Spence could not stop Mikey Garcia, a guy who came up from a lower weight class, okay, and to fight him, and he couldn't stop him. Now his next fight, as we all know, was against Sean Porter, okay, and Errol Spence made a point, that Sean Porter was always every fight that Sean Porter was in, it was a close fight. That Sean Porter don't got no skills. Sean Porter is just a charge him in there wrestling type of fighter, and he doesn't have any skills. He's gonna knock Sean Porter out. And he said that in the clip I just played, that he's gonna take the easier route instead of fighting Terence Crawford. He wants to take the easier route and go and knock out Sean Porter. Okay. Now, Sean Porter is no joke, and I already know that Sean Porter is a top pound for pound fighter. I mean, he's up here number 3 or number 4 at least. Okay, so I know that Errol Spence wasn't going to knock out a Sean Porter. Okay, it's not going to happen. And as we saw, it didn't happen. If anything, Sean Porter almost knocked out Errol Spence. Okay, now again in that fight, a lot of Errol Spence fans, kind of expected, Errol Spence to go in there and knock out Sean Porter. He outboxed Mikey Garcia, so now he's going to knock out Sean Porter. Everybody expected that. Okay, I mean, and Errol Spence said it himself that he was going to stop Porter. Okay, but lo and behold, in that fight, we saw what Errol Spence, was really made of, and we also saw what Porter was really made of. Okay, Porter is not that easy to knock out, and Errol Spence tried for 12 rounds to knock out Porter and couldn't do it. Okay, could not do it. So, we got to come to the conclusion, after the Mikey Garcia fight, that he was expected to stop Mikey Garcia. The Porter fight, everybody expected him to stop Porter. Well, not everybody, because the real boxing fans knew better. But, the people out there, the casuals and the decals, they expected that. Okay, but real boxing fans know that Porter is no joke. Even though you had some of them, a few of them, who thought that, Spence would stop Porter, because they have this, high expectation from Spence. As if Spence is some kind of master boxer that can just, walk through anybody and, beat them down. But that's not the case. And we started against Porter. This boogeyman that they're making Spence out to be doesn't exist. There is no boogeyman. Okay. Right now at 147 that we can see. Okay, when there's a fight, at the conclusion of the fight between Spence and Crawford will determine who the boogeyman is going to be. Okay, so we saw that Spence couldn't stop Porter and he couldn't stop Mikey Garcia. So those are the facts. Those are the real. That's the real story. All other stuff that people are talking about is nonsense. Okay, so now Spence is going to fight Danny Garcia, and so we're going to see again, what's going to happen in that fight. Okay, but for all those people, who had these massive expectations from Spence, that Spence was going to overwhelm Mikey Garcia, he was going to do this, he was going to do that, and then he was going to do the same thing with Porter. None of that actually happened. None of that came to fruition. It was a tough fight against Porter. Fight could have been judged either way. Some people still think Porter won that fight. Okay, and that's what it is. So we see that all these, that Spence is a good fighter, but is not as good as many people are saying he is. And you know, and if he is as good as people are saying that he is, then we'll have to admit and say that Porter is much greater than what people give him credit for, which I think so. You know, without a doubt that he's much greater than people give him credit for. Okay, I know that for a fact. Okay, so you know, it didn't surprise me that he practically fought Spence to a draw. Okay, and you know, that's what it was. So at the end of the day, this is the Spence that's gonna go up against Terence Crawford. Okay, and you know, for those of you people who think that, you know, Spence can beat Crawford, you know, these are the same people who thought that Spence was gonna, you know, knock out Mikey Garcia and he was gonna knock out Porter, but that didn't happen. And they also think he's gonna knock out Crawford, or he's gonna beat Crawford. I don't see it happening. I'm sorry. You know, I just think that, you know, I mean, I got all the, you know, I mean, I give Spence all the credit in the world. He's a good fighter, top fighter, elite fighter at this point in time. Okay, what the man at 147 pounds, but he's not a beast at 147 pounds. He's not the boogeyman at 147 pounds. For him to be the boogeyman at 147 pounds, he has to beat Terence Crawford. Okay, he has to stop Terence Crawford. He has to beat him to be the boogeyman at 147 pounds. And right now, I don't see anything that he's doing that shows me that he can beat Terence Crawford. Okay, for what I can see, you know, Terence Crawford got the faster hands. He got more power, got more experience. He got the faster feet. Okay, so I mean, you know, I've heard the argument that, you know, while Crawford is waiting for Spence to do all these fights, that Spence is gaining valuable experience and that he's going to catch up to Crawford in the term of experience. Oh, that's one way to look at it, okay? But you can also look at it this way. That fight that he had against, that Spence had against Porter, I wouldn't have fought that way, and to me that was a mistake, okay? Because he took too much punishment. So we can say that he's not only just gaining experience, he's taking a lot of punishment. And you know, and if the truth be known, as far as I can see, you know, and we're gonna know more in this next fight with Danny Garcia and Spence. I don't think Spence is the same fighter after that Porter fight. I think that Porter fight took a lot out of Spence, quite as kept. You know, I think he really took a beating in that fight. And I think it took a lot out of him. Okay, so you know, if he keep having fights like that, you know, by the time he get to Crawford, you know, he'll be beaten up and Crawford will just take him out of there. Okay, and so, you know, this thing about him gaining experience is, you know, can rub two ways. You know, he could be taking a lot of beating as well, and might not be at 100% or at his peak, you know, when he fights Terence Crawford. Okay, because we know that Terence Crawford is not really taking any punishment. Okay, in his fights, you know, so I've never seen Terence Crawford take the kind of punishment that I saw Errol Spence take in that Porter fight. Okay, never. So, you know, any more fights like that we, you know, with Porter, you know, against Spence, and if he fights any more tough fights like that, I doubt if he's going to be at 100% when he reaches, you know, Crawford, you know. But we'll see. I mean, you know, time will tell. I mean, I'm expecting them to fight after the Danny Garcia fight. So, you know, he should still be in top shape. And, you know, depending on what happened in the Danny Garcia fight, we don't know what's going to happen. You know, Danny Garcia might give him another tough fight. Okay? But, you know, we don't know. And we'll see what happens. So, you know, for those people out there, you know, the PBC fanboys and the decafs and the, you know, casual fans, you know, people that don't really know too much about boxing, if they think that, you know, Errol Spence can beat Terence Crawford, then why isn't Errol Spence taking the fight? Why is he ducking Crawford? I mean, you know, and again, we see from his own words that he's ducking Crawford. So there's no question about it. Okay, so it is what it is. But I'm hoping to see the fight. I hope he makes the fight that, you know, that the fight is made after the Danny Garcia fight with Spence, that the next fight is going to be, you know, Terence Crawford. That's the fight I want to see. And instead of these fools out there calling for some ridiculous sideshow of a Gary Russell fighting, Terrence Crawford. They should be out there calling for the Terrence Crawford Errol Spence fight, but they're out there calling for some kind of sideshow fight between Gary Russell and Terrence Crawford. And the same Gary Russell who, is not even signing the contract for the fight against Devin Haney. I'm saying, talking all kind of nonsense about the contract this and the contract that. They gave him what he wanted. They gave him everything he wanted, and he still hasn't signed the contract, still making excuses, still capping. So he doesn't want to fight with, Gary Russell don't want to fight with Devin Haney, and, it's very apparent. But enough about that. Back to this fight with Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. We want to see that fight. We don't want to see, Gary Russell, Terrence Crawford. We want to see Errol Spence against Terrence Crawford. Errol Spence really, we just heard Errol Spence say recently that he's the boss, that nobody controls his career, that he makes the moves that he wants to make, and he's the man. Okay, then, if that's the case, then, so that means that you're the one that's stopping the fight between you and Terrence Crawford. There's no advisor advising you against it. There's nobody telling you not to do it. If you're the man and you make up your own mind and you do your own shit, you do your own business, then the fight against Terrence Crawford should be made. Okay? So, and if it's not being made, then you're the one that's stopping it. So, at the end of the day, enough is enough. Errol Spence, you need to stop ducking Terrence Crawford. Make the fight happen. That's the fight we want to see. It's a legacy fight for you and Terrence Crawford, and we'd love to see that fight. This is TBE. That's all I have. I'm out.